Welcome back to the football show after a scintillating 90 minutes in the Scottish Cup between Rangers and Celtic. Rangers winning it by 2-0. I'm delighted to say Gabriel Antoniazzi is back with me after that Scottish Cup tie. Rangers march on in search of the double. Celtic season in tatters, no trophies, and out of the Scottish Cup. Their dominance in all three domestic trophies now over. And at the end of the 90 minutes, I think Steven Gerrard well happy that his side showed the clinical finishing that they have done throughout the season, Gabriel.
Yeah, I've just spoken to the Rangers manager, Steven Gerrard, on the back of making it to the quarterfinals of the Scottish Cup. He said they delivered again under pressure, and he's not wrong. He really highlighted the fact that despite winning the league, they managed to get themselves up for this game. And this was a fixture that Celtic had been looking forward to, the Scottish Cup, providing them a small glimmer of hope. It could have been a bright spark to a rather dark season at Celtic Park if they had won the Scottish Cup. But Rangers ending that put a big smile on the Rangers manager's face at the full-time whistle. And who can deny the fact that they did deserve to win it? Of course, Celtic had chances, but he said they were calm. That was the word he kept using. We were calm, and they were. Rangers through to the quarter-final, and they'll play St Johnstone twice in a week.
Yeah, absolutely. Overall, I think in the 90 minutes, I thought Rangers' first half had the game in the bag. It was for Celtic to try and respond. They couldn't do that. We'll analyse Celtic in a moment. But the positives for Rangers, I mean, McGregor is just an absolute star. For me, he's the best goalkeeper in Rangers' post-war history. I think he's surpassed the achievements of Andy Gorham. He's just out and out a top goalkeeper, produces saves, produces penalty saves as well. He is that calming influence, and he thwarted Celtic on more than a few occasions. McGregor, top man. Davis, well, I look at his performance in the middle of the park. He's sensible, he's neat and tidy, but when he needs to be, he can be direct. And he was in the right position, Gabriel, when that ball deflected up to him. But I don't think anybody would have forecast he's going to produce an overhead kick into the back of the net.
No, Steven Gerrard himself said he was surprised that Davis could stretch so high at his age. It was his 28th Old Firm, and I'm just so impressed by him. He doesn't seem to be slowing down. We know that he's got another one-year extension along like goalkeeper Alan McGregor, who just made some brilliant saves yet again. Celtic with 16 shots. They just can't seem to find the back of the net. Only one goal in 4 Old Firm matches this season. I don't really know what was going on with Odsonne Edouard's run up for the penalty. I know you're not a fan of the modern penalty traditions when they're waltzing up and just passing it sideways. But Mo El-Yunusi as well, he could have had a goal or two, and there was one in the first half. Stephen Welsh looked like he was clearing it for Rangers instead of trying to kick it in the back of their net.
Well, it's exactly as I predicted, Gabriel. I thought Rangers would go out and win this match by 2-1. In the end, Celtic couldn't even score a goal. Aribo, his position in the middle of the park, I thought when he was out wide, he was going to cause Celtic all sorts of problems, and he did. We mentioned the heroics of McGregor. We've mentioned, of course, the fact that Rangers in that 18-game unbeaten run at home is now stretched to 19, and it's down to the fact that that back four doesn't concede many. 53 goals scored and only 3 goals conceded tells you all you need to know about the back line for Rangers. Of course, they got a little fortuitous with the touch from John Joe Kenny to make it 2-0, but I mean, at the end of the day, it was good play by Aribo again. Great skill, Gabriel, and he got his just reward for putting the ball into a dangerous area in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke before the match about Aribo possibly playing out wide and then coming inside to help deal with the Celtic diamond. And he really thrived on that right wing. Both of the goals coming through him. He does prefer to play a little bit more centrally, but he's so effective. And Ryan Kent as well. Those two just dovetailing in the free number 10 position that Gerrard calls it. Kent as well has just been absolutely fantastic to me for me this season. I know he won't get that goal. It came in off John Joe Kenny in the end, but he was brilliant. The way he turned away from Scott Brown for that first goal, getting clattered by Stephen Welsh. He didn't even pick up a booking for that, to my surprise. But one thing that I just wanted to speak about as well, Gerrard's just highlighted it, Nathan Patterson. He said if there's a better right back in Scotland right now, I'd like to see him. Will he get the call up for Scotland in the summer, though? We'll have to wait and see, of course. We've got that pending ban. I think we'll find out on Tuesday what happens there. But when you compare Patterson and also Borna Barisic, the Croatian international, to the 2 Celtic fullbacks, it's night and day. John Joe Kenny, for me, isn't one that Celtic are going to pursue next season in terms of bringing him back up alone. The same with Diego Luxal. He started all 4 Old Firm games this season. He was hooked at half-time for Greg Taylor, who did improve them. but it's not good enough in the fullback position for Celtic.
Yeah, Ronnie Porter agrees with you on your assessment there, and Stephen Gerrard's assessment of Nathan Patterson. Ronnie says Nathan Patterson was excellent, awesome. I don't think too many people could disagree with that. Whether he's at that point where he's got enough experience for Steve Clarke to take him in the squad for the Euros, I don't know. I think he might need a wee bit more experience. You can't doubt his undoubted class and potential, and he will get better. That is undoubtedly the case. But that's for Steve Clarke to decide on another day. But certainly playing at Rangers at the top level and showing that he certainly wasn't fazed by an old firm game, I think he's got the credentials to go to the very top. So there's lots of positives for Rangers. I think it's exactly as you and I predicted, Gabriel. Don't worry about people worrying about where Roughie's gone. He's only scheduled to do the preview, just in case you think he's absolutely miffed on the overall result. Lots of people actually talking about Rangers and how they performed today. So they deserve all the credit, and I think they will go on to win the double this season. I can't see anyone stopping them. No disrespect to the likes of Hibs, who were through today with an easy win over Stranraer, or indeed Aberdeen. I think Rangers have got the bit between their teeth, the confidence, the players, the big game players to go on and win. And when you've got a goalkeeper like Alan McGregor at the back, then why shouldn't you be confident of lifting the Scottish Cup? Celtic. Now, John Kennedy, I don't know how he defended the position. They missed sitter after sitter. And at the end of the day, I think they got really what they deserved out of not only this game, but the entire season. That story today for me, Gabriel, summed up their season.
It's very symptomatic of their season, the performance. Even the penalty almost encapsulated it. The fact there was a little bit of a glimmer of hope. We've got a penalty. Can we score, get back in the game? No, we don't take our opportunity. Just spoke to Kennedy. As we said, we'll get the clips as soon as they do come through. He said, of course, they were very disappointed. He highlighted that the game was probably lost in the first half. He said they were too passive. There was too much passing the buck. Perhaps that's why he made the substitution, Diego Luxalt coming off for Greg Taylor, as we've already spoken about. And then they didn't take their chances again. That is a problem. The game they lost the league against Dundee United, 26 shots, 0 goals today, 16 shots, 0 goals. He said this one will sting a bit because we know how badly Celtic wanted to make it 5 Scottish Cups in a row. He then did speak rather interestingly about going forward, saying there will be a high turnover of players this year, but who can say when the planning starts? We don't know who the manager will be. The CEO, Dominic Mackay, coming from Scottish Rugby, I believe starts next week. He's going to have to get started really soon with some ideas in place because they've got a lot to get on with. They do have a glimmer, one glimmer of hope for Celtic fans. I'm already seeing all the comments online. Can they stop the unbeaten run? That's all they can cling on to now. They come back here, I think, in 2 weeks' time on Sunday, May the 2nd. Perhaps that is the best Celtic fans can hope for, stopping an invincible season, because they're not going to stop the double now.
Yeah, I think you're talking about a small crumb of comfort there for any Celtic fan who's looking at the performance of this Celtic side. I hate to say I told you so. I got it in the neck earlier on in the season when I said Odsonne Edouard was a man down, and I was thoroughly rallied upon from all quarters of Celtic fans. He was a man down. The entire season, okay, he's got a good goals return, but not enough for me, Odsonne Edouard. If I'm going to assess this Celtic performance, I thought the two fullbacks were woeful. I thought John Joe Kenny's only attitude was to go back as a safety pass. He was never brave. When there was space opening up in front of him, wasn't interested. Laxalt, again, no surprise he got hooked. As far as the back four is concerned, I thought they were, again, a problem because they've been a problem all season. It hasn't been rectified. Scott Bain, not the top drawer goalkeeper that the Celtic fans crave. So there's 5 out right away. Scott Brown is going to be joining Aberdeen. McGregor and Turnbull will still be there next season. As far as the rest of them, Edouard will be gone. Griffiths will definitely be gone. For me, Griffiths, I think, has been absolutely woeful this season. And I don't think he's showed the professionalism that is required at Celtic. So El Yunusi will go back to Southampton. You're talking about major changes. I mentioned 19 players over 2 months ago that could go out the door, and I haven't changed my mind. 19 minimum could go out the door. That's players who've decided they're going, players that want to go, loan deals that will go back to their clubs, and players that are not good enough to play for Celtic. It's been a shambles. It was a lack of intent, lack of a statement of intent on the part today, and that's been matched by what's happened off the park as well. I think Celtic's boardroom, the silence from them has been deafening. They're quick to quickly get everybody out with a board and do their PR stints. But the treatment of the Celtic fans in the last 3 or 4 weeks has been just quite simply deplorable. And the performances and the way that they've actually folded in all 3 domestic competitions sums up the season for the Celtic fans. Had the Celtic fans been in the stadium, Gabriel, I think they would have made their feelings known on more than a few games. It's been a shambles from start to finish. And I think when they look over the wreckage of the season, I think a lot of questions will be asked of the board, their strategy, certain board members, and of course, certain people who've been recruiting players. And of course, here you have it, no harm to the lads. Stephen Welsh has signed a 4-year deal, and the manager's not even in the door yet. That tells you about who's making decisions at Celtic Park. That's why it's a shambles. And I think that's why quite a lot of people will look at Celtic, especially the Celtic fans, and say changes need to be made on and off the park. Dominic Mackay starts tomorrow, Gabriel. I'll tell you, his notebook will be 10, 12 inches thick, full of all the changes that need to be made. What a huge job he's got, Gabriel.
Yeah, and he's got to start fast, as we say. Where does he go from here? We were speaking about Steven Gerrard there. He's just said they laid down a marker for this season. He didn't think they laid down a marker for next season because he was fully focused still on getting that Invincible tag and the Scottish Cup. But it is a marker for next season. We know that Celtic have nothing in place yet in terms of a management team. You talk about 18 players going out. Does that mean 18 players coming in? Perhaps we'll have to wait and see for that as well. Thing is, though, with Celtic, if they continue to wait, then before you know it, it's mid-July and the Champions League comes around. And this is the problem that has been biting them in the backside for the last 3-4 years. They've not got their house in order by July. They don't qualify for the Champions League. And then it's the Europa League for them, which is not where Celtic see themselves. It's not where they want to be. This year, you've got the added pressure of perhaps Rangers qualifying for the Champions League as well. They start in the 3rd round, Celtic in the 2nd round. So they've got to really start things quickly over at Celtic Park. But judging on this season, the lack of clarity in decision-making and how quick they have been to make decisions, I wouldn't put my money on it.
Yeah, and I think Michael David Monroe, who clearly is a Rangers fan, has said, I wonder if Kennedy will say if he thinks they're the best team in Scotland again. Well, I think quite simply, a lot of people will have to, including John Kennedy, have to suck it up because it's a win for Rangers today. There's no doubt they deserved it. Some people will say, well, wait a minute, there were chances there for Celtic in the game, but they didn't take them. El Yunusi missed it, taking a touch when he should have looked for a first-time finish. Odsonne Edouard, how he missed his chance, God only knows. He missed the penalty as well. Stephen Welsh missed a chance in the first half. He's a centre-half. You know, these chances you've got to take. And if you want to look at centre-halves who did take the chances when Rangers battered Celtic in the League Cup final last season, then you only had to look at the chance that Christopher Julian managed to take with the side foot into the back of the net. And that was a time when Rangers were absolutely dominant in the game, but Celtic were still able to somehow get the result they needed. This current crop can't do that. A number of people are saying you can't lose 19 players all at once. Just watch this space. Once the loanees go back, once the players who really want out of the club get their wish, and some of the people who've been taking wages under false pretenses go, and then some who are just quite simply not good enough, the manager has got a major cull on his hands. The chief executive has got a major job in his hands. And then, of course, there's the small matter now of this silence that is coming from Celtic still has to convert into convincing fans that they want to buy the season tickets. And that's a big job, Gabriel, for lots of people to convince. Here's the manager, here's the strategy, give us your money for a season ticket.
Yeah, well, John Kennedy said a week ago that Celtic can't just appoint a manager to get the season book money in the door. But Celtic fans, like all fans across this country, have pledged their money over the year to help support the clubs through the pandemic. They didn't know what they were getting in for when they bought a season book at the start of the year. They didn't get much for it at all in the end, it seems. So they have to be clearer this season. There has to be transparency coming from the top to the bottom with regards to that. But again, we're just going to have to wait and see. Nothing's for certain, especially here in Scotland. Just going back to what you said, Christopher Julian tucking that goal in the December 2019 League Cup final. That was the last time Celtic beat Rangers now 5 games since then, 4 wins for Rangers and a draw, which took place 4 weeks ago at Celtic Park. There's no doubting that the tables have turned here in Glasgow. Rangers certainly the dominant force, and Celtic will have no trophies, no silverware for the first time since 2010. Rangers are aiming for Scottish Cup 34. Last time they won it was 2009, so they'll be absolutely desperate to get back to Hampden.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was Steven Gerrard just leaving in his car there, making sure
that
you heard Gabriel. Nevertheless, the positive side for Rangers fans is the huge shift in power now towards Govan and Ibrox. And of course, Rangers, with a chance to get the double, they've been the dominant force in the league. They would love to go through the entire season unbeaten in the league, and they'd love to add the Scottish Cup to their trophy cabinet by the end of this season. Can they do it? Well, tomorrow you'll get the chance to offer your thoughts on it. We'll be reading out as many of your points as possible on the show. It starts at 4 o'clock on PLZ Soccer's YouTube, Facebook and Twitter at PLZ Soccer. Hopefully you can join us for that. We'll have Steven Gerrard, John Kennedy comments from them and reaction from the players as well. Today, it was all about Rangers. It was all about what they did on the park because Celtic quite simply could not respond. Give us your thoughts on that, Rangers fans. Stephen Davis, unbelievable. What a goal. What a performance. Alan McGregor, is he better than Gorham? In my book, he's better than Gorham now. I just think he's been absolutely top drawer, consistently pulling out top draw performances, brilliant saves, world-class saves. If you think of this season and some of the saves that he's made, not only domestically, but in European football, Alan McGregor has been absolutely top drawer and on his way possibly to adding the Scottish Cup medal to his trophy cabinet. I'm not quite sure what happened there, Gabriel. Was there something that had fallen? What happened to you there?
No, it's just a lot of Rangers fans coming down, which they really shouldn't be at the moment. A few flashbangs and plenty of flag waving and horns going on. But yeah, clearly happy here and on the south side of the Clyde. And they're all, as you can see, plenty of fans. Well, you can't see them. I can. Plenty of fans all celebrating their 2-0 victory against Celtic and already looking forward to next weekend. Quarter-final, only 6 days away already.
Gabriel, on the basis that you may well need a change of underwear, I think it's the perfect time for us to say, give us your thoughts on what's going to happen tomorrow on the show at 4 o'clock. We'll hear from John Kennedy. We'll hear from a jubilant Steven Gerrard and the players that were involved in today's game. It's Rangers who march into the next round to take on St Johnstone. Can anyone stop Rangers? And what about the fallout for Celtic? Give us your thoughts on a new manager, the players that should stay and those that should definitely be heading out the door. From everyone here on the Football Show, thanks for joining us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. We'll hear from you tomorrow at 4 o'clock.